I guess I'm very lucky. I don't believe I've ever been the victim of a hate crime. Um, the only thing that I can even imagine like that was when I was in junior high school, and sometimes there were some upperclassmen who were bullies, and they terrified a lot of us when we were in seventh grade, and it was terrifying. And I guess being the victim of a bully is maybe a type of hate crime, but that's the closest I've probably ever experienced it.
Personally, I haven't experienced any hate crimes, but I think not very many people take it that far to hate crimes, but I think discrimination is an issue.
I've had verbal discrimination from, people on the street. I've had teachers that were prejudiced against me because I was Muslim or Arab, but I've never had any physical attack because of a hate crime. I've read about genocide in the past and in history, but I don't keep up with current events anymore because when I used to, I got depressed, so I stopped.
I believe that the government should enforce harsher punishments for hate crimes, and hate crimes that have been happening recently. I believe that the government, I don't know what I believe. I think the government should enforce, yes, harsher punishments for hate crimes, because it's absolutely unacceptable in this world. We need to accept all different types of people. Our society is not as conservative where we can discriminate against gays and blacks and Jews. We've gone through that. We went through that with World War II. We're going through that actually currently. And I believe that the government should be completely unbiased when it comes to ruling over hate crimes.
Well, I think hate crimes should be prosecuted. I think it should be a felony to burn a cross on somebody's yard, or to taunt somebody with a noose, to show any kind of public unacceptance and hatred towards someone due to their religion or race or whatever. So I do think the government should have a hand in that, in prosecuting hate crimes.
I think what it all comes down to is what you teach your kids. So I think the government has a responsibility to set things right in the education system, to expose kids to different cultures, and to teach kids to have an open mind at a young age. I can't do much right now because I'm just a sophomore at college. I mean, no matter what I do, I'm just touching the people that I have in my life, which I do. I try to help them understand different cultures better, and I try to keep an open mind when I'm dealing with issues so that I set an example for people, so they can keep an open mind when they're dealing with issues. But I can't do anything. I feel I can't do anything that would be, like nationwide or worldwide. I mean, it just wouldn't work, so.
Crimes will decrease in our future because the world is ever changing, and we're seeing what hate is doing to the world. We're seeing the effects of terrorism. We're seeing the effects of genocide. We're seeing the effects of biased juries toward blacks and stuff like that. And I believe that the world is not going to tolerate this type of treatment toward its people any longer, because we only live one life. We only live one lifetime, and we need to make a difference in the world, and we can't afford to wipe out peoples and discriminate against people that live and breathe and exist with us. It's just not fair. We're all human beings. We all have that in common.
I'd like to be optimistic and say that it would, but just recent events, the Gen 6, it just reawakened us to the same kind of racial prejudice, double standards that are still unfortunately alive in this country.
I think that as America moves forward, there'll be less hate crimes because people will be more accepting of other cultures. The youth will be the ones to drive this cultural revolution of less hate crimes because the adults are adamant in what they believe and they won't change very easily, but the children are the future and they'll be more accepting of other cultures as they're integrated.
I don't think the number of hate crimes are going to decrease in the future. They might change in nature, but unless the fundamental culture changes. I mean, you can cut hate crimes against blacks, but the fact of the matter is, racism against blacks, but then you got another culture or another group of people that are discriminated against, be it like Mexicans or, Arabs or whatever it is. You're always going to have that group unless you fundamentally change people's understanding of racism or people's understanding of culture and have them appreciate it rather than hate it.
Although we as Americans have taken steps towards creating an accepting society, hate crimes remain a major issue. With the war on terror, global warming, and the presidential elections dominating the media, hate crimes have been put on the back burner, often going unnoticed. The first step towards solving a problem is recognizing it exists. We must bring attention to this pressing issue. Hatred is first expressed in subtle ways. A dirty look, a racist comment. These seeds of hate are being planted around us. However, we often choose to look the other way. To allow acts of hatred to be committed, we too are perpetrators of hate. Silence is the voice of approval.